child's learning style, quotes, "We don't expect infants and toddlers to develop at the same rate or to do things in exactly the same way. So why do we transport all of our vital, lively, distinctly different children to uniform environments, teach them all in one way, and expect them to progress at the same pace, and call them below average if they don't?" This quote is basically trying to explain that we honestly know that our children are not all the same, nor do they learn in the same ways. But for some reason, when they're placed in the school environment, we all of a sudden expect them to do so. The different ways in which children and adults learn and retain information are known as learning styles. In their book, Teaching Elementary Students Through Their Individual Learning Styles, authors Rita and Kenneth Dunn define a learning style as the way in which each learner begins to concentrate on, process, and retain new and difficult information. There are several different learning style profiles and assessments out there, but the three most common are the visual learning style, auditory learning style, and kinesthetic learning style. A simple way that can give you insight on the personal learning styles is by doing this simple activity. Ask yourself, what do you think of whenever you hear the word dog? Some people picture the dog itself or the letters that spell out the word dog, where others hear a dog barking, while others feel the soft fur of a dog. People that picture the dog or the letters that spell out the dog tend to be your visual learners, whereas those who hear a dog barking are your auditory learners. Those that can feel the soft fur of a dog are your kinesthetic learners. Although these results are not scientifically proven to define a person's learning style, it's just a simple way to give you insight on how everybody has an individual learning styles and how greatly they affect the way in which people think and view daily simple concepts. So let's take a look at each of these individual learning styles. The first one we're going to look at are the visual learners. These people tend to learn best through seeing things through their own eyes. In school, these students need to see the teacher's body language and facial expressions to fully understand the content of a lesson. On top of this, there are several aids that can help visual learners succeed in their studies. For example, maps, outlines, diagrams, flashcards, and videos. The next one we're going to look at are the auditory learners. These people tend to learn best through hearing things for themselves. These learners can interpret more of what is being said by listening to the speaker's tone and the speed of their speech. Again, like the visual learners, there are many aids that can help them succeed as well. Some of these include class discussions, recording lectures, interviewing, and watching videos. Last but not least are our kinesthetic learners. These learners learn best through a hands-on approach by actively exploring the physical world around them. Just like the other two, there are several aids that can help them succeed as well. Some of these include role-playing, labs, playing board games, making models, and going on field trips. Parents and teachers tend to teach using their own preferred style. This is mainly because this is the way in which their brains think, which makes it easier for them to teach in this style. However, keeping that in mind, a study was done by specific diagnostic studies showed that on average, 29% of elementary and high school students learn best through the visual mode, whereas 35% through the auditory mode and 37% through the tactile kinesthetic mode. Immediately, it becomes obvious that the traditional classroom, which is set up to teach most of the auditory mode, is serving only about 34% of its students. Although I know most of you may not be teachers or may not even have children, you may be thinking, why does this affect me? What I do know is that we are all engaged in online classroom learning. There are various things in which we can do to help ourselves through the online classroom by learning about our individual learning styles. For example, with the visual learners, reading the textbook. Reading the textbook and seeing the words in front of you help people to internalize what they're actually reading and help them retain knowledge more effectively. Also, visual learners should view all graphics and PowerPoints available provided by the instructor or your individual textbooks. For the auditory learners, listening to lectures provided by instructors and or textbooks. Sometimes the textbooks will offer clips, auditory clips on their website teaching more about the chapter, or I've also seen some teachers broadcast them giving lectures in the traditional classroom. Another thing is reading the textbook aloud. Instead of just reading it silently to yourself, it helps auditory learners to read it aloud so they can internalize more of what is being read. Last but not least, the kinesthetic learners. Preparing outlines, diagrams, and flashcards, or etc. over the material you may be studying. Also, completing outside field work required for the classes. Anything that you can do to get yourself in the action and get your hands on help kinesthetic learners to learn best. In conclusion, a simple explanation of learning styles can be summed up by stating the fact that some people learn better by seeing things, some people learn better by hearing things, and some people learn best by experiencing it all by themselves. Learning about a personal learning style can be just as beneficial as learning about other people's learning styles. Once a person has identified their learning style and those of others, they can take advantage of their strengths and improve on their weaknesses.